So, high impact projects implementation is very important at YGA. We care about two things: discovering together, taking decisions together. And we have a very significant dream partner who shares these ideals with us. So for some time, we have been thinking about what are the hopes or what are the various concerns of the young people. And with Serdar abi, brother Serdar, on another hand, we are discussing with Serdar abi, can we measure the impact of success and how we can do that? We have so many questions. And now, we have Harvard Business Turkey Editor-in-Chief Serdar Turan, and I would like to invite him to the stage. Serdar abi, welcome. So the floor is yours, Serdar Bey. Thank you so much. Dear Ayça, good morning everyone. After such a long time, we're not on the screens, but speaking, addressing to a present audience gave me a great feeling as well. It was 6 or 7 years ago. I received a press release and with Ali Koç and YGA are holding a meeting at Koç Museum. And normally, I love going to the press conferences. You know, this is where I'm fat, and I just wanted to simply have a whiff of Golden Horn and also hear Ali Koç. And I sat down and I heard that they were talking about great things, how to use technology so that they could come up with the solutions to the problems. And I said, aha, this is it. And then, I was in a high spirit. Someone shouted out to me. And there was sort of a very misty environment and it was dark. Someone came up running to me, Serdar, Serdar. I stopped, what is that? And then they told me that Sinan abi is going to see you. I said, what is this? Just like, the minister would like to see you. Well, I had only 15 minutes. We are going to send the magazine to printing. Sinan abi, and I sat down. Is this Sinan abi? And then we asked for Linden tea. And then Sinan started to talk about what he would like to do, and he found a napkin and he drew a framework regarding the capabilities. When I saw that, I couldn't believe my eyes, because that was what we were trying to simply explain to the different generations for years. In terms of the set skills. And he said, well, I agree with you because I drew it. And for 1.5 hours at that table, almost every insight that we would like to emphasize at Harvard Business Review, we saw that it had its correspondence at YGA. And at the end of the day, we were so happy to say that, well, that's okay. And that's it. Maybe as a theoretically, as a magazine, as a key opinion leader, whatever we are trying to put into theory, this was what I saw. So it was not in the academy, in the systematic content, or in the corporate enterprises that it was perfectly put into utilization. Since then, I have been a great dream partner and a big believer in YGA and everything it is aspiring to do. So this is the short story in a nutshell. Everyone works so hard. So as the first speaker, I would like to call everyone to give a huge round of applause for everyone who worked very hard today. Well, dear friends, dear guests, now I would like to talk about these things with the Harvard Business Review perspective. For almost a century, a publication perspective which is trying to put everything, these insights into a framework, and the world that we are going through, how that would look in the upcoming times, and on this YGA journey, what is awaiting us, and some of the repercussions in our research, as I just said. So, dear friends, this is what we need to accept. This is what we need to put forward. The period that we are going through and the upcoming times are not going to be very easy. In mid-1960s, in Journal of Medicine Science, there was this problem called wicked problem. This is how the definition of a problem which you can solve with a single recipe or method by a single government or stakeholder. So these are the problems that we're going to see in the future, and perhaps we are being rather unfair and putting the responsibility and the burden onto the shoulders of young people such as you. And the majority of them, I'm afraid, are going to be wicked problems. And the voters are not going to be very clear voters. On the contrary, there are going to be ambiguities and simply inconsistencies and simply uncharted waters. And the weather is not going to be always very clear. But this is not going to simply drop our mood down. When the pandemic first started, Harvard Business Review alumni were given 3 webinars. Robert Captain, Dutch Cohen, and he works on change management. Amy Edmondson, psychological safety and assurance. And they appeared thousands of Harvard Business Review, Harvard alumni, and how are we going to act as leaders? And this is the answer. We don't know, but actually we are preparing you so that you can get prepared.
That's the reality of the coming period. Trying to resolve the wicked problems in challenging and foggy waters. Everything that has a small likelihood of taking place can happen to us. We need to check for that in the coming period. The behavioral characteristics and the strategic characteristics of the companies face actually events that are likely to happen with a small possibility. They try to spare small budget for that, but that is not the situation moving ahead. This is an health institute in America and a simulation study in 2019. In an exaggerated scenario, there is this expression in highlighted background. It says there is this forecast giving a 90% chance that the pandemic will be of very high severity with 110 million forecasted illnesses, 7.7 million forecasted hospitalizations. If you said it back then, you would say it's such a hype. 586,000 deaths in the US alone. Did it happen? That happened. This is called predictable surprises, according to Marx Weizerman. So we are going to see black swans, etc. All those swans are awaiting us. You know the reason for that? All the problems we encounter are interconnected with each other, intertwined with each other. That's the most important characteristic of wicked problems. You do something about climate change, then you disrupt the income. You try to take care of the income, you damage social justice. So whenever you do something, actually the elements are interconnected and they have an impact on another. That's why you have to take into consideration these elements in this new period. So we have to change the mindset, and the business world has come to understand that slowly, which is bad. We would have expected them to understand more quickly, and we have valuable representatives from the business community today. From the world of just now and quickly mind world, we're moving to a world where we want to share things in the long term. Milton Friedman defines 3 rules of free market capitalism, and we know that the business community ignores long-term externalities for the sake of short-term benefits. Today, a coal quarry pays the money for the coal they are firing, but they don't take any responsibility for the CO2 emissions. That has been the case for years, but we have come to a period where we have to take into consideration the expectations of workers, consumers, and everyone, including you students. So rather than having a personal gain, we are now focusing on the longer gain. And as Michael Porter said, we are talking about a shared value. So rather than killing your rival and taking the whole cake, you try to create a bigger one. And here, everyone needs to exert their efforts for a common goal. I just said we should achieve things together. And achieving things together is de facto, and there is no other solution in this current world, socially and economically speaking, dear friends. And we gradually realize that human beings are not algorithms. Homo economicus, which says that we make logical reasons for ourselves, is over. Human beings have biases in the quest for their desires, in the quest for the meaning. We have come to accept human beings with their characteristics without turning human beings into an algorithm, into a mechanical structure. We are headed for a period where we accept human beings as they are, and we have 160 biases, as you see in the background. As we love, as we create relationships with people, as we interact with people, there are shortcuts, quick solutions, which heal us, which make us good, which also make us become worse. I mean, we cannot, for example, drive our car as we think about them. Do you drive your vehicle just with certain decisions? No, you do that automatically. And you follow other people when they take decisions. If 10 people say something is blue in a room, then you try to side with them, even if you see it as green. So biases are actually an indispensable nature of human beings, and that's what makes human beings beautiful. And we try to navigate in this world. We see a huge gap, and we see this break. We haven't seen such a break previously. Why? Because we discovered that our presumptions might not be correct. The formulas that brought us here may not be able to take us further. That's what we realize. Something that worked for 50 years may not work in the 51st year. So we need to move from the linear to exponential picture, where you have 1 turning into 2, 2 turning into 4, 4 turning into 16, and 16 turning into 256. That's why Netflix comes and dethrones a century-old set of media giants in 10 years, or Getir, a groceries application, changes the rules of retailer. And here we should be understanding this break very well rather than getting in that trap, because if a tie is severed, something else fills that gap, and whether something good or bad will fill in that gap is based on our initiative, dear friends. That's why the theme is important today. What do we say? The new success is impact. And here you need to create a value not just for yourself, but for all the stakeholders. Is it possible? Yes. You just see YGA. Do you need to refer to another example? No. The new solution requires prediction, understanding today well, realizing where you want to go in the future, and shaping the route accordingly. The new harmony, art and science, using the left and right hand side brain. Today we're talking about disruption. Who else is concerned about actually transformation? Artists. And we see its ramification on the business world. These are all critical issues. And when art and science comes together, we see an amazing mix. The new influencer is good influencer. So the impact opportunity, the channel are deployed for good causes. They are also important. So, dear friends, we come to encounter this outcome then. We should start by asking 3 questions. First, who are we? Who are going to be sad when we leave this world? What opportunities would disappear? What is our value? What is our purpose? What are the main elements of our culture? And how aware are we of it? One of the most discussed issues concerns contextual awareness. How aware are you of the dynamics of your current context? How do you differentiate your dream world and real world? That's very important. Who are we? Second, how do we operate? What is our model? How much more value can we extract? What contribution can we make to the essence of that value? Third, how do we grow? How do we go to somewhere farther than our current spot? How can we have more cooperations so that we can create further value? These are the main questions. And dear friends, we are going through such a world. And we ask our friends what they felt within the YGA ecosystem. That's their feeling. How does it look? Just take a look. Worry, anxiety, fear, chaos, struggle, but you also have hope, curiosity, evolution there, enthusiasm, awakening, but they are small. The big ones are negative. Should we fear this picture though? Well, it depends on where you look at it from. If you have a pessimistic perspective, we'll say the youth are in a bad situation. What a negativity. But I just said these are actually concerns we have. Unless we have those concerns, we cannot set that fire. Unless we have concerns, we cannot bring that energy and the solution. This picture looks negative now. But what does Yunus Emre says? If you have the world as a trouble, then you have a world of troubles. Many troubles. If we are candidates for transforming this world, and if as older generations we are viciously saying that we actually destroyed this world, but you're going to change it without any resources, we are giving you the responsibility. It's like saying, I couldn't study and become an engineer, my dear child, you should become. So if we are to change this world, dear friends, you are the main dynamic, and this concern is an asset. If we don't fall down, this concern will be the trigger for us, the driver for us. If the youth are given the opportunity, we will work actually to resolve this issue. 80% says yes, 20% says no, we cannot resolve it. The education, health, climate, technology initiatives, I think, will change the planet in a good way. And 94% says yes. So there's this if clause. If you walk with me, if you provide me resources, if you help me, I will take care of the problems, the youth says. Also, when we ask about them the source of inspiration that helps them keep their hope and motivation high in challenging times, they says what I read by 64%. Are the youth selfish? The role model accounts for only 11%. No, dear friends, we are going back to our essence as a natural outcome of this period. We are asking who we are. What can I do? Is it my responsibility? The moment when we go back to our essence, then we see a dynamic that helps us improve ourselves. I read things, I think about things, I internalize things, I question things. I'm not doing them as I'm told. That's what the youth says. The role model accounts for 11%. Here you might think of men and women from business communities as we know. or we see very important people in politics, we see important scientists, but role model isn't something like that anymore. Ayça is a role model today. Mina, Kürşat, they are the new role models. We need to check people around us. We should not get actually disconnected from the people around us. Kürşat's activities for walking will inspire us. Mina's efforts for ensuring women have technology capabilities will inspire us. Or seeing the evolution of a startup established by a friend will inspire us. We should not lose sight of them when we talk about role models. What does the African adage says? If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go farther, let's walk together. Let's go together. We need the latter. When we have a distance that enables us to achieve actually mobility rather than the victory. And we ask this question regarding social media. We ask them to evaluate their social media uses. What does the group says? I follow daily news and developments. Okay, what else? I can express myself freely. Let's look at the orange one. I'm sharing it to share good news and impact the environment I live in. We need to increase that. We need to make good things commonplace. Why? Because the new success is defined by impact, right? And it's easier in our circumstances when an individual is rightly positioned, can make marvelous impact. Make use of this. Please spread power, good things, and inspiration. Do not stand in the passive mode. Please proceed to a destination where you can be more active. Also, we have intention and action gap in the business world. When you look at this cliff, one of the biggest challenges is socially, economically, appears as such. We all support environmental products. We know the importance of environmental issues, but we don't take actions. When consumers are asked whether they support the companies churning out environmental products, 96% says yes. Who buys? Only 80%. So we need to cover that 60% gap. Action is a critical item and we need to take action. There are many insights concerning the use of fossil fuels, for example, that they will disappear, that we're going to have applied sciences and skills rather than test-based system in education, and having a healthcare system where we stay healthy without getting sick. So the prevention systems will be implemented more and more in the coming period, as we see in the intentions of future actors and actresses. How are we going to continue to stand in the face of these difficulties though? We need to accumulate capital, which is psychological capital. Newtonson defined this hero concept almost 50 years ago. So first, we must have hope. We must preserve our strength that we can transform things. We'll have efficacy. We'll not just wait there, but rather deploy our resources. We'll not just get deterred because we are by ourselves. Resilience. We will continue to stand and continue to walk even after we get a damage. Optimism is the belief that we can change the world as we live in it. Of course, being a hero is not easy. In 1991, Harvard Business Review, in 1999, Harvard Business Review author Peter Drucker published this article, Managing Oneself. And he summarized all these things. Who am I? What is my identity? Do I stand somewhere where I see things corresponding to my identity? If that's the case, yes, you're doing great. Otherwise, you are just having difficulties and skidding. So we need to ask these questions again: who we are, what we do, how we do that. And here you see the answers. By creating impact, by having a proactive look at the future, by combining art and science, and by creating influence, impact in a good direction. A short while ago, Julie Battalina published this book through Harvard Business School. It's called Power for All. And she defines power as the capacity to be able to change the behaviors of others. So if you can change their behavior, then you are strong. But the functional definition goes as such. Actually, access to resources valued by others. So if you have a resource, if I have it, I'm strong. If you need money, and if I have money, then I'm strong. If you want to participate in the YGA event, and if I take care of the access here, then I'm powerful. Don't forget this. Power is not something that is owned. It is something that is actually attributed to. When we look at the most important value attributed by the business community to the society is talent, competencies. The business people within this hall will tell you about it in the break. This is their priority. Why? Because you are the value. You are the subject of the value attributed by the others. First, be aware of that. When you become aware of that, you will learn that you have the power on an individual and collective basis. And the transformation with dream, the transformation that will unfold will be based on that power. However, Professor Julia says you need to do 3 more things. You need to speak, agitate, tell. Second, innovate, come up with new solutions. Third, that's not enough, orchestrate people who bring together those innovative solutions. Does it remind anything? Does it remind you of anything? It does. Think of YGA. Think of people who have concerns, who create innovative solutions, and think of an ecosystem, an atmosphere where those people come together. That's why YGA is a value, and that's why YGA is a strength. We are looking, we are in a quest. What does Beyazıt Bistami says? You cannot find just by looking, but those who find are the ones who are looking for it. Hopefully, this quest is a continuous one for you. Thank you very much. Serdar abi, what is my concern and what solution do I find in the end? I think we will ask these questions for the next 2 days. It's great that Serdar abi said that we have low barriers for that impact.